let's say somebody had access to something of yours after a breakup. Like you said, like, oh, you could see what I'm watching on, one of my streaming services, the Amazon thing, browser history, I don't know, Instagram searches, whatever. What is like the one thing you'd be like, I absolutely would not want someone to have access to like know what I was doing on the back end? Because all that stuff feels so personal if you don't know someone can see it. That I'd be a little jarred. Like, what did they see me search? What did they see me look up?
Oh, mine would be maybe more the psychology, like behind certain things. Like mine would be, I guess, browser history would be how to get over a breakup.
You flat out did the Google search of that for some resources?
I did, or like mine. You know what mine was? Okay, I'll admit this on here. How long before a man misses you?
Oh,
that was
shit,
that, and it's 8 weeks. In case anyone was wondering, it's 8 weeks. So because that is my thing, where I'm like, when are they going to start to miss me? When are they going to miss this sunshine, this ray of sunshine, this ray of compliments? When are they going to be like, damn it?
Oh my God.
So that is what I Googled.
It doesn't hit them right away. Breakups don't hit guys right away. It hits them later. So I believe the 8 weeks, that tracks.
So we'll see. We'll see if somebody misses me. Who knows? If, they at some point.
You starting the clock?
Tick tack on the clock.
Does it start from the last time you spoke to them or the official breakup?
I don't know.
What did the research say?
The research said 8 weeks. That is, it should be no contact for 8 weeks. That there was
no contact.
The no contact rule. That's another thing I Googled. And
yeah, your search history for sure. Shut it down. Shut it down.
But I admit it now. I'd be like, I had to admit that. I had to admit that. So. Everybody, welcome to Two Stand-Up Gals. I am Teresa DeGaetano.
And I'm Erica Spira.
Woo!
Hello.
We are two gals who do stand-up, and we're also stand-up in real life, like stand-up people. So that is also why we kind of came up with the name Two Stand-Up Gals. Eric and I are very similar. I will say how we grew up, and we are similar, but we're also very different, I have to say. Like, we're not very different, but we've got different, tendencies. I love how my boots and shirt are matching. Let's just throw that matchy.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, you could see us. We're in our winter fits.
Yeah, winter fits. Oh, I have to tell you. Okay, so I got this. I've been a little obsessed with Amazon this past year. This was my year of the Amazon. And the glow up, I want to say, check out the Instagram. Okay. I really had some looks for my vacations. But more than I ever have. But I got this new coat off Amazon. Got a little fur on the lapels.
Yeah.
And I was that gal that was putting her mascara on the train last week. I was running late, and there was like a 20-something beside me, and I could feel her looking at me. And I was like, oh, she's probably like, who's this woman putting her mascara on? And I had my red hat, and she goes, I love your jacket. I love your whole look. It's fire. I was like, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Woo!
Got it.
Still there.
Gen Z. Got the Gen Z approval. That's big.
Gen Z.
That's
See,
big,
I don't even know. I'm like, I'm millennial cusp is what I am. I'm at the edge of millennials. At 42.
I just found out that Zoomer is a slang for Gen Z. I didn't know that.
Zoomer?
Like there's Boomer is one generation. Zoomer is for Gen Z. I didn't know this.
Oh, because they like kind of grew up with the Zoom?
I don't even know, honestly.
Is that why?
I think it just comes from the Z part. I have no idea.
What's the cutoff for Gen Z?
I believe it starts at like 27 and under, maybe 28 and under now.
Okay.
Whenever I looked it up last, I don't know. And then
nobody I'm
Alpha.
gonna date.
We're back to the A.
Yeah, that's Erica. How's your week? How you doing, girl?
Oh, not bad. I was like, what segment we want to start with this week? I have a bit of a walk it off. I think.
Oh yes.
I got All right. So one of my favorite things to do is I'm a sauna like spa gal. I like a spa day, like sauna, the baths, cold plunge, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm back in town in New York. Me and my boy Jordan Fisher. Love to do a little day. That was a little like Christmas treat, right? We've both been working a lot. It was post New Year's. We're like, okay, let's go do a sauna day before my OnlyFans taping, whatever. So we go. I got a little confrontational in one of the saunas. I couldn't help myself. I tried for so long to not say anything to these two guys, and it just came out. It eventually came out.
Where were you, first of all? Because this is so funny you're bringing this up, because I went to a Russian Turkish bathhouse.
Oh, yeah?
This past weekend. And we didn't know that we were going to talk about this. So this is very funny.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to say where you were? Or you
I'll
don't
say
want
it.
to
It's
say?
this place, World Spa in Brooklyn. It's a really, really big one.
Okay.
But where'd you go? You went to like a Manhattan spa.
World Spa sounds like World Spa hip hop.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like, is it authentic Russian bathhouse? It's not that vibe. I've been to those where it's
That's
like
where I
not a
was.
lot of frills.
Oh,
place,
this was
though.
no bells and whistles. I had been
Yeah.
there before with our mutual friend, Christiana Jackson. Shout out, girl. Love
yeah,
her.
yeah.
We went before the pandemic, and this is down the East Village, the Russian Turkish bathhouses, and it was all young bros. It was Zoomers. It was all like 27s
Yeah.
and belows. Like, there was only two like hairy old men. I thought it was going to be all hairy old men with the back hair and the bellies, and I kind of wished it was them, because the young bros were just, it was too much. It wasn't relaxing. It was kind of gross. I was like, and it's also funny because the few women that are there, they're in like the thong bikini type things.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, I would feel gross being in that around all these men in this kind of setting. Like, it just made, I had my one piece on plus the shorts that they give you.
I was gonna say, I do the one piece just because of the cold plunge that I like to do.
Oh, I would not have touched that cold plunge. I mean,
The Russian ones they're rough.
I don't know what was like. I was like, I don't mean rough because of temperature. I mean gross. Like that's what. Yeah. So go ahead.
I get it.
So what was your confrontation about?
All right. Well, okay. When you're in the saunas, it's supposed to be quiet, right? Am I crazy on this?
Oh, everyone talked there. This one dude was like, when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in September, I was like, jerk off, buddy. I was like, oh, God. Like, just, oh, yeah, they talked the entire time. My friend and I were actually the ones not talking.
All right. Were there signs to be quiet and stuff like that?
No.
Okay. So the one I went to, the rooms are all quiet. And there's signs, quiet. You're not even supposed to have phones out or in there. And people often will have like a phone here and there, which that I don't care. It's like, as long as you're not taking pictures and shit, have everybody, whatever, you want to scroll your phone in the sauna, so be it. So we go in the first room, and it's like one of those salt rooms.
I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
And they're not really hot. It's a perfect like warm-up room starter, but it has this great lounge chair. The chair, it's like, ooh, it's the perfect curvature where you could fall asleep in. Shit's great. Shit's fire. So we're in there starting. We come in, and there's two guys, and they're like chatting. It's like, all right, when you have the room private, okay. Where there's just the two of us, they're still chatting. And that I was honestly like, all right. But they're just like loud. Then more people come in. They're still loud chatting. No one's talking. And it's something you're like, when the majority is not talking, pick up the hint.
Read the room, literally. Read the room.
Read the room. Read the signs. There's little signs. But to be honest, I'm really not that irritated. I'm like, whatever, you want to talk to your friend. But then he's like, oh, man, salt really feels great in my lungs. Like, do you feel it? He's like, no, not really. He's like, I think you got to get more salt. This guy flips over like to sit sideways on his chair, starts banging his feet in the salt that's on the bottom, which that's not how it works.
Oh, wow.
And it's like loud and obnoxious loud. And two more people are now in the room. And it's that thing that you're all like trying to just be quiet and like shut your eyes a little. And we're all like looking at each other being like, is this for real happening? These guys, really? They're doing that for a while, making noise. Then they get up, they go, they have these little like sound bath things. You ever see? It's like the bowl and the stick.
Yeah.
And if you know how to do it correctly, like if you're watching on YouTube, you go around the bowl softly, right? They clearly have no idea what this is. They just see it on this table. There's a bunch of them. They're like, oh, what's these? They start banging them with the drum or the stick.
A little drummer boy over there was like, oh.
Just no clue. And the whole room is like, okay, guys, you're loud talking. You're banging your feet in the salt. And nonstop, like nonstop noise that it's like, you're not 3.
Yeah.
What is this? So when they get up, the one guy apparently had, I didn't realize, huge pile of towels. And towels at these public places, they're small as hell. And I'm like, what is that, 10 towels? I don't know what this guy's hoarding over there. So he's like all these towels wet, leaves it on this chair. His other friend had like 2 towels, picks them up though with him. And they're standing there, they're banging on these things, and then they go to like leave. And this is where I say something.
Yeah.
And I just go, hey, excuse me. And he turns, and I'm like, hey man, I said, you gotta just like grab your towels and take them out of here. And he says, what? I said, yeah. I said, they got a thing you could dump it right outside the door. I was like, I said, you can't leave that giant pile of stuff in here. And he goes, oh. And he starts walking back to his chair. He's like staring me down. He's like, oh, I got a treatment next door. I didn't know I should have picked up a job application. And I was like, oh, this bitch. Like,
oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. And I just didn't say anything. He was like, oh, okay. He's like, I work here. Oh, okay. I work here now. And then immediately when he did that, the whole room was like, bro, are you for real?
Did they join in the chatter?
So thank God, this one woman, nice, sweet older woman, she just goes, no, you do need to pick up your towels and just at least just bring them outside. And then he didn't really say anything to her. But I was like, what the fuck, man? It's like, I wanted to say something. You guys were just being loud. Like when he was banging the bowls, I wanted to be like, hey guys, would you mind just keeping it down?
You're not the only one in here.
You know,
I paid for my admission and I don't want it to be loud. And
you didn't pay more money than other people. What is this?
Because he's entitled. I can't believe he said, I didn't pick up a job application. Like, he's the guy who leaves his towels all over the place at the gym. I'm sorry. He probably has an Equinox membership. Let's just throw that out there. Corporate America probably pays for that. And do you leave your towels on the machines? No, you don't. You take your towels and you put them in the towel bin. You gross motherfucker. Sorry. I swore on here. That is gross. So...
Because I'm like, there's only a certain number of chairs in here, and they don't have people that come in and out of here and take the towel. You dump it in the bin outside. Yeah. I was like, I don't even care if you put it outside and you put it on the floor, which is still being a dick. But I just was like, you've done so many dickish things in this room that I was like, I can't. And it was a thing like it just came out of me to be like, hey, man. But
just like that, hey man, just take the towels.
Hey, excuse me. I was like, but also because his friend picked up his stuff. So that's especially where I was like, don't act like you don't know and you don't see everybody else doing it. Your own buddy picked up his own, whatever. But his response to be like, oh, didn't know I should pick up a job application. I work here. I'm like, oh, you piece of shit.
Yeah, that's when you're like, take the sound bath and be like, ding, ding, ding on that one.
Ding,
like,
ding, I'm gonna follow you around. Ding, ding,
ding,
in
ding,
your
ding,
ear.
ding, ding,
Oh,
ding, ding,
God.
ding. Oh my gosh. So what did Jordan say? Was he in there with you? And I don't know Jordan that well, or I don't really know
Jordan is not confrontational at all. Right. But it was the whole time we kept looking at each other like, are these dudes for real? And so when the guy left and the door shut, I looked at the other woman and because they looked at us too. Everyone's shaking their head like, what is wrong with these guys? And I said to her, I said, by the way, thank you so much for also saying something. And she was like, oh, my God. Of course. She said, those two guys were the most obnoxious people I've ever seen here. And I was like, yeah, thank you. I said, I've been here many times. I've never had anything like any step of that whole process. I was like,
wow.
But that's that thing in me that I'm like.
It's the itch. You got the itch.
I couldn't just, with the towels, I was like, no, you can't leave I can't. I was quiet the whole time.
And you got to take them. It's funny, at my workout studio, one of the things that fires me up is they have, it's all classes, so it's all group fitness. And they have a marker on the floor for where you're supposed to put your yoga mat, like it's HIIT classes, yoga classes, so everyone can see themselves in the mirror, and it's all spaced out accordingly. So you're supposed to put your towel at the corner of the mat, or your mat in the corner of the corner, whatever. And so when people don't do that, it messes up the whole flow, and you can't see yourself. And there's no acknowledgement sometimes from front row. I always look back to see, can you see? Good. Everyone can see themselves? Great. I'm in my spot. But then there's none of that. And then this year, I'm not doing this. The one time I said to this woman, I was like, no, you can't put your towel there. You're blocking me. You're right in front of me. Like, I'm like, nope, you put your towel, you put your mat where it's supposed to be because you're messing up the whole flow. And I also
can't get my flow on.
I can't get my flow on if I can't see myself. Like, follow the rules. Okay. This is what it is. I get annoyed with that. Oh, this is another thing too. When I bartend and people leave outside trash on the table, don't do that. There's a trash can. If you brought in your outside coffee, find a place to throw it away. Oh, I'm sorry, your gum wrapper? Did you order that here? No, you didn't. We don't have Trident on the menu. I'm going to need you to throw that in the trash can. Like, I think that's, so, like, don't clean out your purse at the table. Like, that's something that that's unfair. I'm glad you said something, though. You had to. I couldn't.
Because then after, though, we were in, like, another sauna hanging, and I do this thing when I'm thinking, and because I talk with my hands, but if I'm thinking of scenarios and stuff, then my hands will move. and Jordan caught me doing it in the sauna. He saw me just quietly gesture, and he goes, "What are you thinking about?" I'm like, "Oh, it's okay. It's nothing." And he was like, "No, what are you thinking?" I said, "I'm thinking about the scenario we were just in, and now I'm in my head of like, should I have even said anything? Should I have just been quiet? Like, almost like, why did I?" But it's something in me where it almost feels like the room's on the correct side, right? Like I was like, all of us are sitting here like, this is ridiculous. Then I'm like, oh, I have the courage to say something. Like, but then I just felt like, was that wrong? In the moment, it didn't feel like it. I was like, this is absurd.
I don't think it's wrong at all, because I think as a society, this is one thing that we should do is kind of check each other. Like, honestly, nobody checks each other anymore. There was, I was talking to now the ex-boyfriend about this, that nobody gets punched in the face anymore. Sometimes people should get punched in the face. Sometimes you just gotta punch them in the face. Like, you deserve to get punched in the face for that. Like, you deserve to be called out.
Yeah.
And for he's someone's son. Like, your son has no manners. And then you watch that. I watched that with like parents and kids who come into the bar. This little girl kept free dropping this metal stand that had our QR code for the menus on, just bungee jumping the thing to the just boom, air. And I was like, and it kept thudding. So I grabbed it and I moved it. And then like up high so she couldn't get it. And then the parents brought it back down and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, stop. Like,
She's gonna break it.
This is a bar. This is why we don't have kids in here after 8. Like, this is not, if a drunk guy was doing that, I'd be like, hey, knock it off. I've done that to people where I'm like, cut it now. Like, I love when I get, I guess I have a walk it off actually that happened. Shit. I don't know. Did I tell you this about these guys that stiffed us? And I kind of called them out. Like, this is a new one. And I've been pretty good at work not getting fired up. But it was
since the girl filming you
Since
incident?
the girl filming me, I've been keeping it to myself. So this was busy Friday in December, a lot of tourists. So these dudes, they're construction workers. They rolled in and their tab was like $58 and they put a line through the tip. And I went to get the credit card receipt and I saw that there was no tip, no cash, just a line through it. And we were busy and they had the table. And so I said something because my coworker was waiting on them and they were just drinking beers, but they were being served. We were serving them and they weren't coming up to the bar. And so I said, was everything okay with the service today? And they were like, yeah, it was great. I was like, well, you stiffed us. You put a line through the receipt or you put a line through the tip. Like you just, and he goes, oh, okay. I was like, okay, so just checking. You didn't want to leave a tip. Okay. Like just calling them out.
Yeah.
Then I needed the table because people were going to order food. And I was like, I actually need people that are going to order food to sit down because food is first priority. And he was like, well, you were rude earlier. I was like, okay. So then I was like, 2 versus 1. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And so I called them both out. I hope my managers aren't watching this one. But I was like, we went back and forth. They were like, we were going to leave you a cash tip. I said, no, you weren't. Because it would have been there with the credit card receipt. Or you would have wrote cash in the line for the tip. You wrote a line through it. And he goes, well, we weren't done yet. I said, so why'd you close out your bill? And I said, you're just mad because I called your asses out. And I mean, I said it like that.
Yeah.
And so like we had words and I walked away and they were like, we'll be done soon. And then they took their sweet ass time finishing their beer. And then they ripped up a $5 bill and they left it on the table. First of all, you can take your $5 bill. I don't need your $5 bill. Okay. But you ripped it up and left it on the table. And then they left and I laughed because I was like, oh, I'll remember you. Like, I will remember your faces,
see you ever again.
And I will not serve you. Because I'll be like, oh, what up? Ripped up $5 bill. Oh, you think, okay, that's great. Remember when you were disrespectful? Yeah. Guess who's the only one bartending now? Me. And guess who's not serving you? But what was funny is there was this couple there visiting from Atlanta. They had never been to New York before. Ooh. Very attractive, sweet couple. And when the guys left, she goes, they were like, that was awesome. We've never been to New York. Like we witnessed and I had this beautiful like green blouse on and it was like flowy arms. It was very elegant. And I'm talking with my hands like, you're just Mex. I called your ass out in my beautiful green blouse, like probably like some pearl earrings or just like looking. And she was like, you just got right in there. We were like, this is, welcome to New York. And I was like, yeah, New York and Christmas time. Yeah, you know what? Yes, welcome to New York. And they were really sweet. I bought them like a round, and then they came back in a week later. Like they would stay for a whole week. I was like, that's a long time to be in New York. Oh, wow. And they were like, oh my gosh, it's you. And I was like, it's my couple from Atlanta. And it was just full circle because they were like, no, you were in the right. That was awesome. So that was but part of me was like, why did I have to say something? Like, Teresa, why did you have to? And I was like, It's also because it was the holidays, and I was like, you're not going to not be generous to me. No, you're not. And I mean,
well, especially not be generous. I'd be like, no, you need to give me the table now.
Then you need to get up.
Yeah,
then
you
need
do
to
need
be
to
like,
get up.
and if you clearly wanted to stiff us, and that's fine, but then just say it. Yeah, we didn't want to leave a tip. Okay.
Right.
And we leave it like that. Okay. And
Yeah.
then you can do that. And you can also get up when someone needs to sit and eat.
Ooh.
I was fired. Still got fired up talking about that now.
No, I mean, you're right that they weren't going to tip you, because when you were like, oh, you put the line through the tip, like, is your service okay? They would have said, like, oh, we're leaving cash. I would have said that immediately.
Yeah. Oh, here. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Here. We didn't.
Or I would have said, like, oh, yeah, we were leaving cash at the end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Say it right then. They weren't saying anything until you were like, because you're not tipping me.
Yep.
Like, they know what it is.
They know what this is. I said this. I've been doing this for 20 years. Don't think that you can outschool me or outword me on
Rip
what
up
I
a
know.
five.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
Rip up a five.
So, that was a ripped up $5 bill. I did take a picture of it, and then I thought, can I tape this back together? And then
If it's ripped just in half, I think you can
no,
deposit
it
that at
was
the bank.
ripped.
But
It was torn
That's
up,
petty.
just like they were after I had my words. But that was my walk it off.
Real
And-
petty would be telling the whole bar that they didn't tip.
Oh yeah.
You know, just
That
like,
is-
ladies, anybody think these guys are cute? Just so you know, they don't tip. Have a good night. I'd be like, yeah, take your sweet time at that table.
I actually did that once.
Ooh.
We were talking about this story. Like, if you're going to use a bar as your date spot and you want to bring in different women or men, you've got to be in on it. What I'm saying is hush money. You got to give that hush money. Years ago, there was this guy, good looking guy. He had, olive skin, dark hair. He had a thing for like really beautiful, like brunettes, because everyone was gorgeous that he brought in. He brought in like 3, and I want to say 10 days. And he left a 10% tip every time. And I was like, buddy,
Ooh.
you are. And so I was probably like 30 at this point, and I called him out. I just didn't care. And I was like, oh, wow, you've been in 3 times this week, and every time you've tipped me poorly. Or something. I said something. And I just want to be like, hey, listen, if you're going to I've waited on you every time with a different woman. You think when she goes to the bathroom, I'm not going to go in there and blow up your spot? Oh, I will. Like,
You did it in front of his face.
Yeah, I did it in front
Oh
of
my
his
God,
face.
didn't I see you on Tuesday? She's like, what?
What?
You're like, oh, sorry.
Oh, that was a different brunette. Oh, was it
sorry.
the one the week before? Oh, that was a different one. He's been on 3 dates in here. Y'all look the same. You're the prettiest, though. I keep it moving. Yeah, like if you're going to do that, you got to let everybody in on it. We'll do a secret what up. I won't blow up your spot if you don't, it's hush money.
I worked at a steakhouse. I was a hostess, and I got pointed out a couple guys that like to come in, and they were like, just so you know, there's a couple of them that get rotated or it's different. They basically were like, just never address the woman was kind of what I was told. Where they were like, don't blow up his spot. It's a good customer. I'm like, okay.
That's
I'm
good
just like
that
a
they
quiet
said that.
customer. A quiet hostess. I was like, all right.
I learned the hard way. I worked at this place on 39th and Madison, Salute. That was my first job in New York City. I was a hostess. And now it's Park Avenue Wines, but it was white tablecloth. It was very like Power Lunch, Madison Avenue. I had to wear a dress. And I did that to one of the customers. And I was like, oh, hi, weren't you just here last week or something? And I said that. And like the head hostess was like, never do that. Yeah. I thought, oh God, too friendly.
This is the kind of place it's like, you keep that quiet.
You keep that quiet. I guess. My big walk it off is I'm now single. I guess that's my.
Is this a walk it off?
Is this my walk it off? Is this my update?
What was our, or is it dating? I don't know.
Dating.
What are we calling it? What was the dating thing?
Spill the tea.
Left on red?
The tea. Do you want to spill the tea? I guess I'll keep it kind of.
It's up to you what you'd like to share.
Brief on this platform because I know on the Patreon we talked about it like the day after. Mm-hmm. This is like a week plus in, and since we started this podcast was when we first got together. So it was 4 months. So we've been doing this for 4 months, and so I got broken up with. And we can talk about too, like how to handle a breakup and how to do it in a way. For me, I obviously was angry, but I also don't want to keep anger with me.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for me. And one of the things too is that I haven't been drinking alcohol, kind of doing a dryish January, because he would have probably gotten a fired up drunk text from Teresa. Like, history repeats itself. If there's any ex-boyfriends listening, you know what I'm talking about. Like, the truth comes out in a very harsh way. I don't know. You're not a drunk texter. You're not. Are you?
No,
a drunk
I'm not
texter?
a big. I'm just not a big drinker.
Yeah, that's.
Because I'm as you can see by my story, I'm just too bold in real life, and it's like I don't need to be liquored up. I don't need more boldness in me. You know. I feel like drunk me more makes a move to just like go hook up with somebody more so than.
Let me know more so than let me tell you what I really think.
I feel like I'll just tell you what I really think regularly. So
that's good.
I try to scale that back just naturally a little bit. Except the sauna guy. I told him.
Well, no, you should have told the sauna guy. Somebody needed to check him, and it was good. It was you. I wonder if it was another man saying that to him, if he would have said
that's how I felt.
The same disrespectful tone, if he would have used that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I thank God somebody else backed me up. Anyway, back to your stuff.
Oh, so yeah, that's what it is. It's a case of it's not me, it's you. I mean, but it's not like it's.
Wait, you think you got the "it's not me, it's you"? Or what do you mean? Sorry, it's not you, it's me.
Is that
what you meant to say?
It's
Sorry,
not you, it's me.
Like it's not me, it's you. I was like, harsh. What?
It's not you. It's the
classic. Yeah.
But it is. That's kind of what it is. And I'm not like I don't want to speak on that person's behalf. But what I did do is I could have just left it with how I left it, but it was bringing me a lot of anxiety, and so I decided to reach out. I waited like 6 days, and then I reached out and said kind of my piece in a very, I will say, I think it was a very, very nice way that I said it. And so now I feel like I can leave it as it is and move on. And I've received some nice words from him in return. And so that's where we are. But I'm feeling much better than I was because I was very anxious about it. And you do miss the person. For me, I also miss like having someone to do something with.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Sundays and Wednesdays we would see each other. And then it's like, okay. Like I walked by like the Angelica in New York City and I was like, Scarface is playing. Oh, we could go see Scarface. I haven't seen it in the theater. And then I'm like, I can't reach out or I can't. At least for this period of time.
Yeah.
And so maybe down the line, I said that maybe we can, maybe we can be friends, but maybe we can't. Who knows? Like, and just be cool. So.
Yeah. I mean, you said you like to leave things nicely, which I understand. Yeah. I think that's, I don't know. We're both Tauruses and we're supposed to be stubborn people, but do you feel like you're very stubborn or not really?
That's one of the qualities, like the bull, bless you, is that I think with certain things I can be stubborn, but I'm also pretty lenient. I want to say, like, I do like try to give
You're very
you.
giving.
Yes, I do try. Thank you. I try to give you the benefit of the doubt and try to, after the anger subsides, then what are you laughing at?
No, it's just funny. You're like, if I get angry though, no, but yeah.
Well, I get angry, but then I also get sad. Like I get angry, but then I'm like, I get mad that I can get angry at strangers, but somebody I care about, I don't want to get angry with you. I don't want to.
Yeah, you feel bad.
I do. I feel bad. So
yeah, you got a big heart.
I do. I have a very big heart. Like I'm very loving and I'm very affectionate. And I don't want to change that about myself. That was something the last week that I was like, maybe I shouldn't care so much. Maybe if only I wasn't so, affectionate, or I wasn't so, he's avoidant attachment. I'm more anxious attachment. So the more someone avoids, the more I'm like, So, and that's a balance too that I learned. I learned a lot about myself. And this was honestly probably one of the most healthiest relationships, honestly, that I have had, where there wasn't a lot of other stuff on the outside, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but it was just like two adults, and that's what dating is. Two adults to see if you like each other or you are compatible. So,
yeah. I asked the stubborn thing because I'm like, I'm stubborn in a way a lot of times. I don't like want the person to like see me sweat. So with like a rejection, it's almost like it's good in a way that I won't like lose my cool about it. But then I also don't usually say much.
You just leave it as
where it's just like, okay, all right, you don't want to date me? Okay, well, best of luck and da-da-da and
leave it like that.
Yeah, but there's a stubbornness to it that I'm like, I don't know. I'm just.
Well, it's hard not to lose your cool. Like, I know you're supposed to say if someone like sends you a very long text message as I received, it. I was not expecting that. And my first reaction is like, what? Like, and so
of course, yeah.
For me, I think I need to take a beat and then figure out, gather my thoughts instead of firing that off. But that's a knee-jerk reaction when someone's going to do that. My gut is just to respond. But then next case scenario is like, take a breath. And that is something I wish I would have done differently.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong to do that, because then my problem is like, people will say like, oh, I feel like you have a wall up. I feel like I've gotten feedback when I finally do show like emotion or vulnerability or things like that. Like, it's like then they like really like it. And it's always confusing to me that I'm like, well, you like that, you want to see this? And they're like, yes. Yeah. But it's interesting. Like some people will feel that way even with like anger and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That it's like a little where sometimes for some people they're like, it almost hurts that like you weren't bothered by it. And it's like, oh, I just didn't want you to see it.
I don't want to show you.
For some reason. Yeah, I wasn't going to give you the satisfaction. And that's where my stubbornness comes in.
That's okay. Well,
sometimes you can't control it. It's not like my last like breakup that really hurt. Like I was upset. Yeah, visibly.
Did they ever know that you were upset?
They knew, but it's like it wasn't like a big, long conversation dragged out thing. Like I remember being like, okay, all right. Oh, this is a breakup conversation. All right. And I remember being like, I got to get home.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay.
That's okay. Everybody has their ways that they do things. I think that's fine too.
And then I got to reach out. I got that reach out that's like, hey, how you doing? And like, I feel like that was kind of quick. And like, do you want to talk more? And this and that. And I was
see?
But it's like, because that
was your power move. Your power move is not saying anything. That's a good power move.
But it's not like I did that to be like, yeah, I'm going to hear from you. And this, like, but I think because he felt it's like he broke up with me, essentially. And then it's like, oh, I feel like you didn't say much. I'm like, because I didn't.
Yeah, you're like, okay, this is your decision. I can't change it.
It felt like, what difference would it make? It's like if one person doesn't want to be in the relationship anymore, it's done.
Yeah, you can't.
I thought that's how it works. I don't know.
You can't force somebody. It's true. You're like, if you feel this way, okay, like there you go. I will say though, it's interesting for me. For some reason, everybody I've dated has always come back around in some capacity. And it's just funny because I'm like, okay, that I will hear from them eventually. And I don't, this is where my struggle is, because then I let them back in. And then you're like, okay, what have we not learned? But they almost all have, come back around in some form, shape, or form. But it is interesting when you break up with the person you've been dating. I think no matter how long you were dating for, this was 4 months, but people come out and are like, oh, let me tell you what I think of them. Like, then people come out and then they're like, oh, so now that you're not together, and this has happened with everyone else I've dated in the past too, that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't ask for that honesty, but thanks. Okay. Or like, so that's
bold move too. It's a bold
move.
Being like, oh, I think you're not going to get back together. Because what if you did?
Yeah, that's a bold move. I don't know if I've ever told anybody that I didn't like their. Well, no, I have. It's not that I didn't like them. I just thought that they could do better, or I didn't like sometimes their tones.
Or like wasn't a match. It's because if you say you don't like, just a general I don't like them isn't good. You got to come in with some specific things. That's like, hey, I feel like you weren't compatible here and here, or maybe I didn't like how you were treated with something. You can't just be like, I don't like them. It's like, well, why not?
And even some of the things that they've said, like, nobody wants to hear that your friends don't find the person that you dated. This has happened with people in the past, not the current one. But I didn't think he was attractive. And you're like, okay, well, thanks. Okay. You're like, okay. I do like to hear, well, you were the better looking one of the couple. Thank you. I do want to hear that. I mean, that's my own ego. That's my own. The other thing, too, I noticed for women, this was a big thing for me because I'm usually single. I've never been married. I don't have any kids. I've never even lived with anyone romantically. So I am not somebody that identifies as always being in a relationship. So what was interesting, I was excited about this relationship and I talked about it. And because I was excited about it. Like, I'm excited. I'm dating someone. We did this. We did that. It was cool to be a we. It was cool to have like, that was fun for me. I enjoyed that. It didn't last, but I enjoyed it while it was there. Now, people will ask now, that's one of the first things they ask. Oh, how's your boyfriend? Do men do that? Do they do that with each other? How's your girlfriend? That's a weird question to ask. Another man would ask another man, how's your boyfriend? But women do it to each other because we validate each other in a weird way if we are in a relationship. That somehow validates us. And I don't like that. I would just like to say, I don't, I'd rather you ask me, how are my workouts going? And I'm struggling to hold plank, but I'm doing the best I can, like that instead of how's that? Oh, it's going, Yeah.
Men don't ask many questions, but my guy friends talk about like, usually this shows up a lot also in the difference of like when you go home to visit family and holidays. Usually for women, it's always like, are you seeing anybody? Da, 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 and it's relationship focused. And for men, it's usually career focused.
Yes, it is.
It's like, how's work going? Blah, blah, blah. You making good money? You doing that? Like, that's like how men are valued more and women are valued more, unfortunately.
I shared this thing that came across my Instagram where it was that men are always Mr., but women are Miss, Ms., or Mrs. So that's it. That just shows you what it is. I prefer to be Miss the rest of my life. I don't care if I'm 90. You can call me Miss. I don't mind a ma'am because I think a ma'am is a very nice way of saying that. I say that to men where I'm like, here you go, sir. They're like, who's a sir? I'm like, I'm not going to call you buddy.
What?
I'm not going to call you dude. I'm just being... that's called manners is what that's called.
Yeah, I also don't see sir as an old thing at all.
Me neither. Or
sir is actually kind of sexy.
Oh yeah,
I know guys that's like a kink of theirs. They're like, call me sir.
Isn't that like a 50 Shades of Grey?
Is it?
I think it is. Like you call them sir, or that's like a BDSM thing.
Probably. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, it's a hot I'm like, I got a couple guy friends who are like, oh, I love that. Like in bed, someone's like, sir. I'm like,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
Oh,
okay.
It's a little sexy.
Oh, there you go.
That's happening.
So yeah, that's my. Do you have any follow-up questions, Erica?
Well, I didn't know what you want to share or not share, so I was kind of just letting you do your thing.
That's
it's yours to share.
That's my share. Now I'm just. Also, it sucks the time of year, I'm gonna say, because it's cold out.
Yeah, this is not good timing on that.
And I know we were talking about Othello and past, so I'm not going to be going to Othello. I did not get the Othello tickets in this, but it's okay. He was like, I'd be very distracted if you were beside me. In Othello, cute. That was kind of the gist of his, and I wouldn't be able to focus, and I would be mad at you for distracting me. Not mad at you, but like it would be. I realized that it would just be a thing, and he was like, it'd be very sad for the both of us. So I am not going to those tickets to see those great tickets are no longer mine. So
which is sweet though.
It's fine. It's if anybody wants to take me, just throwing it out there.
Did you do your homework? You read the thing?
Not the whole way through. I have no fears the whole way. Well, I was gonna keep it fresh. I was gonna keep it fresh, so I was gonna read it right. Like I'm halfway through it, so I was gonna keep it, right till the end. So that's okay. T will bounce back just fine. I guess she'll be good.
You will. You'll be good. I mean, I can tell you already feel a lot better.
Yes,
because I can tell you didn't like that. You're like, I didn't like how it was left.
I didn't like that. It was just, it was not my style. I feel better about that. Also, I'm sure if he told his friends, I hope that they're like, damn, she was cool. Like, it's also ego talking on that one. Those are my updates, girl. What about you? How was the stand-up? Just a little bit? Just a little?
I know. I was like, do I have a bit to work on? Go for? Trying to figure out.
I will tell you a bit. Not to just step on your toes on that.
Do you have any bits?
Okay, well, this was a breakup bit that I workshopped on. I had a show last week. And so I have his HBO Go password, and I would still like to keep that. But I logged on, and I had mentioned we should watch Juror 2. the movie.
Oh.
And I saw he started watching it. You know, we broke up. So it was like, I saw he watched it halfway through. And I'm not petty. You know, I left it fine, but I hadn't spoken to him or texted with him at this point after the breakup. And I really wanted to take it halfway through and take it to 5 minutes till the end. So he would have to just mess up where he was on all of his shows and be like, oh, I have 5 minutes left. And then you got to rewind it and see what happens. And I was like, but I won't do it. I was like, I won't. So that is kind of funny. I did click on Eat, Pray, Love. Then it came up as recently watched on his like,
oh, wow.
Because that's what happens. I was like, oh, geez. Okay. That almost was a little sad, but also I thought it was kind of funny. Like, oh, she's.
Yeah, I was like, you're playing a dangerous game sharing the HBO if you don't make like your own profile on there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like he could see what you're watching. I'd be a little self-conscious of that if I was in the breakup mode.
Yeah, the Eat, Pray, Love was kind of funny because I didn't really watch, but I clicked on it. I was like, oh, I should watch this. And then I was like, oh, it does come up as recently watched.
It's like rewatch?
So I was like, oh, that was kind of funny. But I did think that I was like, mess with it. No, but I was like, I won't do that. But that would be pretty funny to.
It's I think there's something you can work here with, like, because you share it and you can see what he's watching, even though if this isn't like the true part. Mm-hmm. You essentially can be like watching to see if they've moved on.
Oh, to see
like based on what they're viewing. Where you're like, oh, he watched the movie I mentioned. He's thinking about me. Eat, Pray, Love. He's thinking about me.
Oh, okay.
Insert another like Lovey Casablanca or something. You're like thinking about me.
Thinking about me. Going through, oh, somebody.
You know? Mm-hmm. And then like, I don't know, insert whatever movie or show. Like, where all of a sudden you're like, there's a new woman here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a signal of something somebody watches that you're like.
I don't think there'll be a new woman for a while. I am going to say that.
I don't either.
I know, yes. But.
Which is why I'm like, this is the part of the bit that isn't true.
I got it.
But I think would ring true for other people. Or this is a female mind that's like, yeah, if I had access to be able to see, I could snoop. I mean, I would be snooping. To be like, what's he watching? What's he getting into? Just out of curiosity.
It is funny because I have the ex-boyfriend's all of his passwords to Hulu, Peacock, and so I'm. And he knows I have it, and he knows. And then the last guy knew I had the exes, and so he like laughed because his whole profile comes up, and I'm just like gathering everybody's.
This is why you leave it nice.
Yeah, that's why I leave it nice.
Leave it nice. You got to keep those passwords.
I got to keep those. I got to keep good graces. Listen, I want anyone to look back and be like, that Teresa De Gaetano, she was a real, that's the people pleaser in me. She was a real such and such. I always want people to look back fondly.
This actually has made me think of something I don't think I've ever admitted or talked about here. My one ex that I referred to earlier in the episode, I went to like log on my computer to log into like Amazon or something. And I guess I was logged into his Amazon. Oh. Because we like watched an Amazon Prime movie and I didn't have Amazon Primes way back when. And I didn't log out of it because I would browse his recent browsing history and purchase and stuff just out of nosiness, just to be like, what's going on here? Because he was a big reader. Oh. And I could see like certain self-help books and things he'd be like looking, and I'd just be like, what's he got going on? What's he like browsing? This is totally a creepy move. I do not recommend doing this. I absolutely should have logged out.
Oh, that's funny.
But I'll never forget like just tapping in and being like, oh, this is interesting. I can see what's going on here. Oh. And there was like no way for him to know until it was like accidentally signed out and I hit something and it went to try to sign in and it was like passcode sent to, and I was like, oh no. You know, the point you're like, oh no, nobody's trying to sign in from Queens. That's not your ex girl.
Luckily Queens is a big place. Luckily you're like, I don't know.
I was like, oh, he'll 1,000% know that's me. Like, maybe, I don't know. But I just, all of a sudden I had that panic and I was like, that's why you don't play with firework. You should have just signed out of this. Have it lingering.
Have I mentioned this on here about getting another HBO password? I don't want to repeat stories if I mention this, but so this was like 2021. I had made a post about what show should I binge watch, and an ex-boyfriend of mine who he was toxic. It was a toxic relationship. Still owes me money. Side note. I just want to make that point. No, never. I learned my lesson the hard way. Just never help somebody out. If you give somebody money, say bye-bye. You're never seeing that money again. Yeah. That was a bye-bye. But he was like, oh, you should watch Game of Thrones. I said, well, I don't have HBO. And then he's like, oh, here, you can use my password. And I was like, oh, yes, I will use that password since you still owe me money. So I told my sister about it. And she was like, oh, let me get that password. So I was like, sure. So I gave her the password. But then then she gave it to my nephew,
Oh,
who
no.
was 10 at the time. And then my nephew made his own HBO Kids profile
Oh, boy.
on the guy's profile. And my sister, and forgot the password. So he told my sister, don't worry, Mom, I made my own HBO Kids password, as he should, because that's a thing that you're supposed to do as a child. He thought he was doing being responsible. And then my sister called me up and was like, I got some bad news. I think we've been kicked off of the HBO because, and we were kicked off then at that point, because it was like my nephew's name against the guy's name. And I was like, oh, but I laughed. I thought it was funny. She thought I was going to be mad, but I was like, that was pretty funny. I was like, just don't touch it. Okay. If I give you the password, don't touch it. Just leave it as is.
I like that. That's good.
That happened. All the passwords, Sharon. This is adult dating. The password share. I've never said the Amazon's funny though, to see what I
forgot I even had that. And I was just every once in a while take a little gander. Be like, what's he browsing? What's going on? Some books, some weights? What do we got going on here? What self-improvement are we doing?
I love the self-help books.
They weren't all self-help. There was like occasionally something that I'd be like, I was reading extra into it, obviously. I was being a little Snoop Dogg.
It's so hard. This is one thing too about, I know that you're talking about not doing a dating podcast, but this is a hard thing about dating, is that with so many different outlets, social media outlets, like, now I could see his Instagram. I don't want, because I unfriended him right away. I was like, forget this. I'm going to block him. And then I'm like, well, I really need to do all that. And so
I would say you should, actually.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Yes.
If we're going to have dating podcast segment.
I know. I probably should just.
You should.
That's a tough one, because it's so easy to just check.
You're going to be looking at it.
And I miss the days of like the Sex and the City, the 2000s, where it was just a landline. She came home and Big Head calls her and it was a landline. And that was it. They actually, the Carrie Bradshaw's Brownstone, which is down on Perry Street, they just got approved, I think, for a gate. So people couldn't be in front of the brownstone because everyone takes pictures in front of there.
Well, I was going to say, do you feel like people were more reliable during that time when it came to dating and things like that? Do you feel like people are more flaky now that we have cell phones?
I think people know too much.
Also that.
And I feel like I know too much. Like if you go on a date with somebody, you can look up all their stuff beforehand, basically. And I don't think we need to know. I call it doing my research. Some people might call it stalking, whatever you prefer. But it's, I don't think we need to do all that. That makes it challenging.
No, I agree with you.
Also, if you were going to meet somebody at the bar at 7:30, you showed up at the bar at 7:30, or you called the bar and told them you weren't coming, or then you just, I guess that would be ghosted. You just got stood up. And that was it. There was no way to see them again. They weren't sending you pictures over their phone because you couldn't do that. Yeah, it's a different time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. All right. For a final question of the pod here. Let's say somebody had access to something of yours after a breakup. Like you said, like, oh, you could see what I'm watching on, one of my streaming services, the Amazon thing, browser history, I don't know. Instagram searches, whatever. What is like the one thing you'd be like, I absolutely would not want someone to have access to like know what I was doing on the back end? Because all that stuff feels so personal if you don't know someone can see it. That I'd be a little jarred. Like, what did they see me search? What did they see me look up?
Oh, mine would be maybe more the psychology, like behind certain things. Like mine would be, I guess browser history would be how to get over a breakup.
You flat out did the Google search of that for some resources?
I did, or like mine, you know what mine was? Okay, I'll admit this on here. How long before a man misses you?
Oh,
that was
shit,
that, and it's 8 weeks, in case anyone was wondering. It's 8 weeks. So, because that is my thing where I'm like, when are they going to start to miss me? When are they going to miss this sunshine, this ray of sunshine, this ray of compliments? When are they going to be like, damn it?
Oh my God.
So that is what I Googled.
It doesn't hit them right away. Breakups don't hit guys right away. It hits them later. So I believe the 8 weeks, that tracks.
The 8 weeks, but then it's like, what's it going to be? What's it going to remind you of? And be like, that one reminds me of her. It's more. I was talking about this at the bar, and men are like, "Oh yeah, if I still smell something, like if it smells like an ex-girlfriend, because I want to buy this perfume Narcisco Rodriguez. I've always liked the way it smelled. I'm going to buy it for myself." But they're like, "Oh, that smells good. That reminds me of such and such from such and such. Like that smell."
I never even heard of this perfume.
It's good. I think it's at Macy's. It's not just at Sephora.
Oh, excuse me.
It's exactly. Excuse me. I asked for that for Christmas. I did not receive that. I received a coffee maker.
What the hell?
But
well, I was gonna say I once, I don't know, sprayed whatever perfume I had on, and then I was around a comedian friend, and he was like, "What are you wearing? Are you wearing this perfume?" And I was like, "Wow, yeah, I am." And he was like, "My ex wore that." Like they know the smells, dude. The smells triggered the brain.
So we'll see. We'll see if somebody misses me. Who knows? If they at some point.
Are you starting the clock?
Tick tack on the clock.
Does it start from the last time you spoke to them or the official breakup?
I don't know.
What did the research say?
The research said 8 weeks. That is, it should be no contact for 8 weeks. That there was
no contact.
Oh, the no contact rule. That's another thing I Googled. And
yeah, your search history for sure. Shut it down. Shut it down.
But I admit it now. I'd be like, I had to admit that. I had to admit that. So,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, your Amazon's just closed. I'm not worried about your Amazon.
Yeah, my Amazon's like clothes and sexy things and electrolytes because I did get some sexy things. Listen to me. I did up the sexy game. Look,
Okay.
I tried to, just like I should get, a sexy robe
Yeah,
or like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, now I have these things. And this was a new top that I bought that was like, oh, this could be a sexy date top, but there's no date. So I did get a guy's number with you in the wild. I even forward saying that, but in real life about going for coffee. I guess I should text him. We'll see. I don't know.
Feel it out. I don't know.
I don't know. Throw it out there, T, because I get shy. Huh?
You told me. You said you get their number and then you decide.
Yeah, I got his number and so I have it. So, but I get a little shy. So we'll see if I'll reach out. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll have to see.
What was your talking to God moment as we wrap up here?
Oh man. I mean, we're literally wrapping up. I'm feeling more than ever the like, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right things? The LA's on fire, literally. So I ended up not going back yet. And I just feel in a limbo of a bunch of stuff. And what's very hard is like, everyone's just like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, to be honest with you, there's a lot of things I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't really know. So I'm trying to figure that out. But then it almost feels more frustrating because it's like, I feel like when you're looking for a sign, then you like can take anything as a sign. And I have a good friend in LA that she last year thought about leaving LA. And then so also with this and the fires, she was like, yeah, is this a sign? It's like, okay, yeah, no, I should leave. I almost left a year ago. And so now she's seriously looking at leaving. And that's like one of my good buddies out there. So I lost my childhood best friend. I might lose my other good friend. And they're not comedians. So I'm just like, man, that's like 2 of my people. A third of my person was supposed to start renting their new place, and they actually ended up backing out. They were like, it was too much money, and their stuff's in storage, so they're back home here like me. And then it's like lucky timing for her as well that we both didn't go back yet. And so I'm like, man, what if she ends up not going back? I'm like, man, this like nice kind of community, especially outside of comedy community I was building, now feels like what's happening to it. I'm having a little bit of like, oh no. Yeah, that I don't know. Like 2025 was like, okay, I'm going to like really be there, steadily there, going to be able to put time and like was really looking forward to like kind of pounding the pavement there. And now I'm like, well, that plan just feels like it. I mean, it literally went up into flames a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what LA is going to be. And yeah, it's hard for me right now to not just feel like a little bit of like, have I been making the right decisions? Like in general, like, did I do the last few years correctly? Like, I
think you did. I think you just gotta be right here. This is the moment. This is where I'm at. And it will all work out the way it's supposed to. That's what I have faith in this, where it's like, hey, this is supposed to work. You can't overthink it. And I overthink a lot, but just, okay, this is what it is right now, and this is where I'm supposed to be.
But that's the part I keep like
it's hard.
I keep being like, is it where I'm supposed to be? I don't know. Like I'm
when you're when you're supposed to make a move, you'll know. You'll know when you're supposed to. The universe, I believe, will guide you back to where you're supposed to be. If you're supposed to move back here, if you're supposed to, you'll know. But keep asking. Keep saying. Keep asking.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just it's tough. Because I think being in the limbo is like tougher. So I was kind of being like, okay, I'm back in LA and we're like really doing LA. And then now with this, it's like just a lot feels up in the air about future stuff. And,
It's very scary because it's a very scary and sad thing that happened, the fires. And it's just, everyone feels that way though.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. That's why everyone in LA is like, what is the town going to be? We're all like, I'm not really sure. And for like every industry, not just, comedy. What about you? I know we got to wrap, but.
The same thing I told you. Just like, am I doing the right thing? Did I, do the right thing with this? And also like, is there someone out there for me? That was my talk to God. Like, is there someone that's gonna, appreciate and want what I have to offer in like the relationship field? And so, is my person out there? Is that in the cards for me? So that's something that was, on my mind.
Yeah, I get that.
Yep. On that note, exciting.
All right. Well, we got to wrap. So thank you everyone for listening. And
Thanks,
stay tuned. There's a Patreon preview right after this. And bye.
Bye.
My one friend's already gone. Unsure of like what my life's going to look like out here. And so with like dating anybody, I'm a little bit being conscious of like, I have to make sure I don't like also jump into a relationship just to like fill a void in a way of like feeling a little bit lost and feeling a little bit lonely. That it's like, I don't think I would do that. I've never been the type of person to do that. And I think a big part of it, honestly, is like I've never been able to just like fake being into
I don't
somebody.
see that being part of your personality.
Like I don't see it being me, but I'm like, I am feeling like a little vulnerable in that sense right now that I'm like, I think now more than ever, I would be more likely to do that, of feeling a few different things in my life that I'm like, yeah, now more than ever, like, I would be feeling like kind of like the loneliest out here, that I might be a little more susceptible to that. I'm not even saying that word right, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I just want to make sure it's like my life doesn't just become then like a relationship, and I make sure I still try to build my life in all those other ways and work on that as well, which again, yeah, men don't fucking worry about that. I feel like ever, but it's something I'm kind of a little conscious about, or I'm trying to stay aware of, that it's like, don't like force something to work at the same time just because I kind of feel like there's a lot of other stuff like not working for me right now.
I think that you will be able to check in with yourself, and then that's what you'll do is like, hey, am I enjoying this? Hey, am I with this person just for the sake of being with somebody, or do I genuinely like this person? And time will tell. That's why it's also important that you go away for 2 weeks and you do continue to work on that aspect of your career. And that is part of who you are. The lonely monster, I call it the monster. How many people are in New York City and Manhattan? 6 billion? How many people?
Yeah.
Million? No, it's not 6 billion. That's the world. And I feel lonely all the time. I'll just put that out there. I have struggled I haven't been drinking, dry January. I cried to my sister earlier on the phone today. It came out of nowhere. It hasn't been easy because I felt like, oh my God, there I was earlier listening back to past episodes as that I was that girl that, oh, I have the boyfriend. He's coming over. I've never been that girl. I've dated people, but I'm not the boyfriend girl. So for me, there was something that I was like, oh, I feel picked. I feel chosen. I feel like, oh, I'm finally that girl who has this, attractive boyfriend. And oh, this gives me meaning. This gives me purpose. Well, no, I give myself meaning and purpose.
To hear the rest of this Patreon episode, join the Patreon at patreon.com/shootersgottashoot. Or now you can join on Apple Podcasts by subscribing there. You get extra episodes every week and also ad-free episodes of the regular podcast. So you can join by subscribing at patreon.com/shootersgottashoot, or go to Apple Podcasts and there's the ability to subscribe right from your phone easily over there as well.